just heard from the president discussing the update, the latest update, better yet, with that Colonial Pipeline cyber attack, telling us that the pipeline is back online, but supply will take several days before it reaches the pumps. Now, the president reiterating, do not panic, but that's exactly the opposite of what we're seeing at the pumps. Joining me now to discuss just that is clinical psychologist Dr. Bart Rossi. Now, panic at the pumps, oh my goodness, is causing a lot of aggression. I want you to take a look at the cell phone video and then tell me what your thoughts are after seeing it.
Wow, yo, she spit on. Oh. Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Rossi, that is just disturbing on so many levels. I mean, fighting in the street, that's for starters, but a man and a woman fighting, that's second. Third, over gas.
Yes, and I think that this whole situation brings up panic and panic anxiety for sure. And of course, we have people who are anxious more than not. We have some people who are hypervigilant. Some folks catastrophize most every day. But this whole situation goes far beyond that. And I think it relates to the whole issue of cybersecurity, as the president just said. I mean, there are real concerns here. And some of these real concerns get people very agitated and frustrated. The previous administration fired the cybersecurity chief in the White House. The president is now saying we need to do more, and he needs to step it up and probably will do much more related to cybersecurity, because from my point of view as a clinical psychologist and a political psychologist, this is what we really need to worry about. Not perhaps nuclear warfare, but cyber warfare that's actually going to stop our trains and planes and financial system. I mean, we're in a situation where this is really a serious matter. That's why the president spoke today. But it's much more serious. The incidents at the pumps, of course, are bizarre sometimes, but the whole situation is serious. It's a matter that, you know, we should address immediately with more security around the country.
Well, Dr. Rossi, speak to that. I mean, speak to how all those factors that you just mentioned can lead to panic, and also what we just saw with that brawl.
Well, a good question. And when you put a legitimate concern into the mix when it comes to being anxious and hypervigilant, like many people are, then you're really creating a mix that's very powerful and very dynamic. And what's happening here is that you're seeing people who are thinking that the worst could happen. Maybe we won't have gas going forward for weeks or months. They're thinking that something bad is really going to happen, of course, just after a pandemic, no less. So there's a lot in here, and I think a lot of people have been concerned about cybersecurity and getting hacked, and what could happen down the road. So the big picture here is not only about panic, but it's about the anxiety associated with cybersecurity. And if you think about it, this is really the problem for the United States going forward, because we can't even find those hackers that easily. So rather than a nuclear war, people can destabilize our whole country by just going in this direction and actually stopping our transportation system, you know, and actually bringing us to our knees based on this cyber attack.
Dr. Rossi, we have about a minute left. I want to ask you one last question, sir. When you throw into the mix the fact that we're just getting out of a pandemic, something we haven't seen in a century, you also throw in the fact that folks are facing eviction. You also talked about the cybersecurity attack. Can you talk about the psychology behind that and the stress it must be having on us as people?
Well, sure. I think that you use the word stress, and we have all been stressed out because of this pandemic. And that is a really good point, because in the mix here, along with the anxiety and frustration, you know, we have all felt stressful. We're not able to function like we normally did in the past. And so now we're in a position where, we're hypersensitive, we're thinking about things in a different way, and then along comes a hack and a gas shortage. I mean, some people are basically saying, what else is going to happen here? The sky is going to fall.
Exactly.
And again, as I said before, there's some legitimate reason here for this cybersecurity concern.
Yeah, I think some folks, and I'm not a professional like you, but I think some folks are starting to feel like this is the end of the days. But I appreciate you, Dr. Rossi, and your insight. And again, we look forward to welcoming you back to BNC Live, sir.